Data validation is one of the most critical activities in software development. Having a clear strategy that ensures data integrity is crucial for any business application. Therefore, the BlazorPlate development team was keen to use the most effective methods that assist in creating complex validation rules. For this reason, they decided to use the FluentValidation Library for several considerations. FluentValidation gives better control of validation rules and makes them easy to read, easy to test, and enables great separation of concerns. FluentValidation Library includes several built-in validators like regular expression, email validator, credit card validator, and many more. FluentValidation Library allows for creating custom and reusable validators, and also it allows for adding translations for the validation messages in several languages. Another nice feature in the FluentValidation Library is the ability to implement conditional validation rules using the when and unless methods to specify conditions that control when the rule should execute. In this episode, we will see how the FluentValidation Library works very nicely with BlazorPlate. I'm going to use the Apply for Military form to evaluate some validation rules which are implemented using the FluentValidation Library. This form is located under the Army menu in the Proof of Concept section. Now, I'm going to submit this form before filling it out. As we can see, the system responds with a list of validation messages. So let's fill out this form with valid data. One of the conditional validation rules defined in this form indicates that only those aged between 18 and 28 are eligible to join the military. So I'm going to break this rule by entering an invalid date of birth to trigger a validation message. As a result, the system responds with a validation message indicating that the age of the applicant shouldn't be less than 18 or greater than 28. So I'm going to enter a valid date of birth and continue filling in the form. In the Body Max Index section, the system automatically calculates the Body Max Index or BMI field depending on the applicant's height and weight. If the applicant's BMI is not within the normal range, the system should respond with a validation message, and that's exactly what we are seeing. I'm going to enter a valid height and weight and then submit the form. The form that I've just filled out uses client-side validation to validate user inputs before submitting the form. Client-side validation takes place on the web browser. A client-side input validation check can improve application performance by catching malformed input on the client and, therefore, saving a round trip to the server. For example, suppose the user enters an invalid email format. In that case, the system can show an error message immediately before the user moves to the next field, so the user can correct every field before they submit the form. Client-side validation provides a great user experience, but this must always be backed up by server-side validation for security reasons. In the server-side validation, the user's input is sent to the server and validated by the command validator object. If the command validator detects that the user's input violates one or more validation rules, the feedback is sent back to the user, indicating that something went wrong. It is better to validate user input on the server side to prevent malicious users, who can easily bypass your client-side validation rules, from submitting dangerous inputs to the server. Last but not least, I want to point out that in the BlazorPlate environment, you can use the same validator objects in client-side and server-side validation. Thank you for watching.